But on the line with me now, Advocate Lwandiso Kwababana to tell us more about boxing in the Western Cape. Advocate, nice to have you back on the show. How are you?
Indeed, JP. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm very much excited. I'm sure a lot of people are excited. All the boxing fanatics are excited. We are excited as officials and the regulators of open boxing within the Western Cape. Finally, we're getting in that four-square ring. Yes.
It must have been very difficult for you guys. I've asked the same question to everybody else, but it must have been very difficult for the boxers out there over the last 6 months, not being able to get to a club and train.
Very much. It was indeed, for us, it was even difficult to answer questions that were actually asked by young boxers. You know, our kids are very active in our communities, and it could not help the fact that they were not allowed to go to gyms for starters. They were not allowed to actually do exercises that they normally do to keep them away from the streets. And we actually got the hard deal because we have recently learned that we have lost about, say, a plus 14 boxers. I'm talking about still youngsters. So it was really difficult for us. We also had officials and coaches that decided, you know what, they will just call it quits. And some of our clubs, you will understand, they actually have self-sufficiency from participation, from trainings. So some people lost their incomes during this COVID-19. So it was indeed very difficult for us.
Was there any positive in the sense that if we looked at some of the other sports, the guys were trying to train at home, they were trying to do some gym work at home, people were messaging each other on WhatsApp. Was there any of that in the boxing space? Because I think maybe over that time, and I mean, we've even seen you do it yourself. You're doing shadow boxing at home and you hang your bag. Was there some sort of that activity that at least the guys could have been training a little bit at home?
Yes, JP, but I try to lead from the front. I try to show the boxers that it is doable. You can do certain exercises. Of course, it won't actually get you 100% fit, but it will get your momentum to keep it and to keep it going. And I also try to encourage the coaches to actually get that activity and assist, motivate the boxers.
Well, you've now hit the ground running. I mean, we all know that COVID is, of course, a big concern for everybody, and a lot of the sport codes are slowly working out how to do some training under these regulations, and of course maybe even compete under the regulations. And the good news that we've heard, which is why we really needed to get you on the show, is that you are going to start testing the water a little bit with some competition.
Yes, JP, we're actually quite excited. We were honored to be, to be requested by PFC to actually sanction a tournament that will be taking place. Now, this tournament is not a normal open boxing tournament or a normal amateur tournament. For us, it's almost like a test because it will feature about 4 bouts. Now, these 4 bouts, it's also not going to be, we're not going to be applying all the AIBA, the international rules, as we know in terms of our normal competition, because the intention is to see how are we going to be surviving and crafting a way forward within these COVID-19 level 1 regulations. So it's more for us a study that we're doing. But yes, of course, the paramount consideration within this exhibition will be the safety of boxers at all times.
Lwandiso, this is of course the kind of stuff that is really exciting for us, because we can really now talk about the athletes in a head-to-head format as they kind of come back into the fold. So you've sent us sort of the bill, what it looks like. So amateur fight night, of course, here, and I believe it's at the Portuguese club here in Cape Town, which is great. It's put on by PFC Promotion. As we know, boxing events are generally organized by promoters. So looking at some of the fights on the bill here, we've got Rabbi Matete up against Matthew Murray. We've got Dylan Proser. He takes on Chang Chan Yan. Nei Kamenga Mapumba up against Chamuna Fuga. And then it's Innocent Zamani up against West McIntosh. Tell us about some of these fighters.
You know, most of those fighters, JP, as you mentioned the names, and I can tell you that I think I've already reffed about 80% of them. I have been a referee in their bouts, and I can tell you they're actually special talent. The guys are actually looking up, most of them, to actually turn pro very soon. And I can also make mention that one of them is West. West is one of the boxers that represented Western Cape at national level. And when we actually selected him, we could see from developmental level that he does have what it takes to actually participate nationally. Ravi and Kamanga, and most of those boys, I'm very well. I'm not surprised that they are actually getting better now, because they've actually done a great deal of working with their coaches at club level to be at the level where they are right now.
And of course, we're glad to see that you guys have got a couple of sponsors supporting the event, and I'm going to give some names here. Integro, of course, one of the supporters of your event. City, Advanced Telecoms, Factor, BioSmart, Golden Rewards, and 600 CT or 600 Cape Town, I assume. So it's also nice to see that your event has actually got partners supporting you.
It's, JP, you would know from the community, kind of a sport that we have as boxing, that it's not so much supported by private sector, but there is room for improvement. Now, Mr. Neville Adinal is as the organizer of the event. He's the person that would actually have contacted all the sponsors and say, we need your assistance for us to actually promote boxing in this kind of a manner. Now, as boxing, this is the kind of events that we'd like to sanction, to align ourselves with, so that we can have more interaction with our private sector. And you can tell that the only result will be boxing will be self-sufficient, and that's what we need.
That is, of course, where we're heading here, is that we've got clubs and districts and boxing structures now that belong to an organization, Western Cape Open Boxing, that is able to promote those clubs, support those clubs, and regulate those clubs.
Exactly, that is the intention, JP. And after this tournament, we would have an idea of how we can actually support now our clubs at district level. You see, because this tournament right now is sanctioned by Western Cape, which is the provincial structure. So right now we will try by all means to assist our district federations to do the same. So where we're getting to is that we want boxing to be active as much as we can. But of course, in the past we used to have about 50 bouts at amateur one day. But right now our new normal indicates that it can't be the same. We need to cut down the number of bouts that we'll have. But luckily, we might actually have a weekend in, weekend out kind of tournaments that we're going to be having.
Well, that's fantastic, Lwandiso. We're going to leave it at that. Already, I think that that we're able to show the benefits for the structures out there of belonging to an organization. And so we'll leave it at that, and we'll say to you guys, best of luck for the weekend. It's great to see boxing back on its feet, and hopefully we'll see lots more and lots of videos coming out of this.
Yeah, very well, JP. But I also want to say thank you to the president of the Western Cape, Mr. Andrew King, who is actually attending to his national duties. We have a meeting at national level, but he said these sort of events, it needs to happen. Hence, he actually personally sanctioned the event, but ensure that the structure will see to it that everything is done above board. So thanks to PFC for giving us this opportunity as well.
There we go, folks. Lwandiso Kwababana, Advocate Lwandiso Kwababana, of course, representing Western Cape Open Boxing, and that is fantastic. It's so great to see the amateur boxing structures getting back on its feet, and there they are testing the waters for the first time this week, and we hope to get some nice videos for you that we can show you next week of these 4 bouts that are taking place this weekend.